Welcome back to the show, everybody. Okay, so a few years ago, our next guest was a paralegal. Now he has 5 million YouTube subscribers, 3 million TikTok followers, and his very own cookbook.
Yes, Bilal Bhatti returns with recipes from Beyond Measure, Pakistani cooking by Theo with Golden Gully. Welcome back to the show, Bilal. Nice to see you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's dive into it. So you have amassed such a large following as Golden Gully because people love the eyeballing cooking that you do, which is the way that a lot of us grew up. My mother, I never saw a cookbook in my house. I don't know, Mel, did you ever see one?
Or measuring
Never,
things.
right? So you really don't measure ingredients.
No.
Ever.
So we don't use traditional measuring spoons or cups or anything like that. Exactly how you said. My mom doesn't even own a tablespoon, so she doesn't know what that is. But we do measure with our hearts. We measure with our fingers, with any sort of spoon, like even this. You can measure with whatever you want. It's all about tasting and just getting used to cooking and just having fun in the kitchen.
Okay, but that sounds great until you have to write a cookbook. So how do you do eyeball cooking and then like make a recipe that people have to try to follow? And especially if there's somebody who's a newbie to your technique.
Yeah, that was quite the difficult task because I even asked my mom in the beginning, how much masala do you put of this and of this? And she was like, just throw a pinch and throw a pinch of that. It's like, that's kind of hard to write down.
Yeah.
So I think it all comes down to choosing something that we all have at home. So for example, a teaspoon or like some sort of dinner spoon like this, or maybe even a little plate, but just being consistent and also tasting as you go. So making sure that you understand the ingredients. So next time, let's say it was a bit too spicy, then you can adjust it. Maybe don't add so much next time. So it's all about playing with the ingredients, tasting it, and just, I guess, learning from your mistakes because it's not going to be good at the first try. You got to keep practicing.
Doing it old school.
Okay, all right. Well, we are ready to eat because you have brought some food for us
Yes.
today to try. And we're going to start with a really popular snack from Pakistan. So tell us what it is.
This is called pani puri, also known as golgappe. And if you haven't seen this before, it's almost like the perfect nacho chip one-biter. So this is a fried dough ball that's a bit hollow, so you can actually poke into it. Let me actually do this for you here. So you can just go ahead and
Okay, so demo this for
here.
us. You're going to actually make one. Yeah.
And now you can fill this with a whole bunch of nice ingredients. So we have some chickpeas. We have some fried bundi, which is almost like fried little dough
Is it
balls
okay to
too.
pop the whole thing in our mouth?
One shot?
Yes, yes, one shot, one shot. Right?
Good.
It's a bit sweet, it's a bit tangy, it's a bit spicy. We can add a bit
delicious.
of yogurt.
Oh, I love it.
Oh my gosh, that's so good.
And then this is the final little drop here.
And what's that?
So this is a mixture. Oops, spilling here, all good.
That's all good.
So this is a mixture of water with a whole bunch of spices. Thank you. So we have some chili powder, tamarind, black salt, ground cumin, and coriander. So you get a bit of that tang, a bit of that spice, and it's the perfect one-biter.
Delicious.
That was so good that I want to eat that one, but I'm going to behave myself because we're moving on to a chicken dish. Talk to us about this one.
This is called chicken karai, and in my opinion, if you wanted to start with Pakistani cuisine, then this might be the way to go because it's a bit on the simpler side because it's all in a one pot. So it's a one-pot dish. You get to add a whole bunch of ingredients in there. Right? So you get to really taste what Pakistani cuisine is all about. You get the spices, you get some of the tomatoes, you get a bit of the yogurt. So in my opinion, this is the dish to start with if you were thinking about cooking any sort of Pakistani cuisine.
If you start with this, you don't go anywhere else. This is so good. That was delicious. So good.
You mentioned this earlier that eyeball cooking, it takes a lot of time and practice to really nail, and this practice makes perfect stage. So what if you're like in this trial and error and then you're like, whoops, over-seasoned? Like, what do you do?
Yeah. Over-seasoning is a bit more difficult to fix than under-seasoning because if you under-season, then you just tasting that a bit more. But if you over-season, then it depends. You either have to dilute something or maybe add something to combat it. So for example, if it's a bit too sour, you might want to add something a bit more sweet and vice versa.
Okay.
Or let's say, for example, I made a chutney and it was way too spicy. Then you might want to add some yogurt to dilute it.
Got it.
So it kind of depends.
Got it.
Okay, great. All right, so next up, we're going to try something. I've never heard of this. Sog. What makes this such a versatile dish?
Yes. I think every culture almost has their own version of a cooked down vegetable or a cooked down leafy green vegetable. This is our version. This is called sog, and it's made with mustard greens. You could also use broccoli. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Everything's been so delicious, and I'm like, I'm listening to you, but I want to taste it too.
So you can make it with mustard greens, collard greens, broccoli rabe, kale, even spinach. So you can use honestly whatever.
Delicious. Okay, now I have to ask this question with this amazing food in my mouth. You recently posted on TikTok, I saw, and you asked the question, can teenagers cook? Fair question. And you put it out there, and 2 million people watched this video. And then you decided to put your 15-year-old cousin to the test. What was the outcome?
I kind of threw him on the deep end because I made him cook biryani, which is much of a harder dish to make as compared to chicken kadai. And the outcome, I didn't think he was going to perfect it on the first day, and he didn't. He didn't add as much masala as my parents would have liked. So we actually had our parents judge, and they agreed that he needed a bit more spice into it. So now for next time, he knows he's going to add a bit more masala, a bit more spice next time, and that's how you get better. You just keep practicing and going at it and making notes. And that's the whole journey about cooking. You just got to make it your own and just keep trying.
Yeah, that's
I love
fantastic.
that.
Is he still cooking?
He is.
Okay, that's good stuff. All right, so we're gonna end things with a delicious dessert. What can you tell us about this dish?
Yes.
How'd you make it?
So if you have been following me on social media, then you know my favorite thing is possibly kulfi, which is almost like a frozen ice cream, but this is not that. This is ras malai, which I think is my favorite dessert. It's almost like a
This is delicious.
cottage cheese that's then kneaded into the form of a disc, and that gets cooked into a simple syrup with cardamom. And then that gets soaked into a delicious milk mixture with saffron, pistachios, almonds, and it just soaked up all that goodness. It's probably my favorite dessert.
This is phenomenal.
It's
Right?
delicious.
It's a bit spongy, it's a bit sweet, it's nice.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. Bilal, thank you so much for sharing this beautiful Thank you. Wow. All right, we want to let you know Beyond Measure will be available on May the 28th, but our lucky studio audience, you're going home with your copy today.
Hey there, what did you think? Drop your comments below and join the conversation. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you can find more on everything from food and fashion to pop culture and current events. See you soon.